if Bitcoin is digital gold and we have $600 billion of gold on reserve at our bank, in the Federal Reserve Bank, you're telling me we couldn't put 75 to $100 billion of Bitcoin on reserve? Is that what you're saying? And by the way, you may even liquidate some of that gold to do that. You're saying that's not possible.
That would be so wild to me. I just like, but like maybe that's a possibility.
The possibility of the United States embracing Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset sparks an intriguing debate, with Anthony Scaramucci offering a compelling vision of how such a move could unfold. At the heart of the discussion is the idea that Bitcoin might serve as digital gold, positioning the U.S. to lead the world in modernizing its financial systems. This idea, however, is not a simple proposition, but a potential strategy tied to politics, economics, and technology.
Trump wants it to happen. And he's got the Senate Banking Committee. Tim Scott wants it to happen. He's going to be the chair of the Senate Banking Committee. Besant wants it to happen. If you're telling me there are no Democrats, and I don't believe this because a lot of Democrats voted for the Saab 121 bill. If you looked at the dispersion of vote, it was a bipartisan approval of that bill.
Scaramucci explains that this isn't just about direct power, but also influence, a critical lever in Washington. Trump's potential to leverage his relationships and influence to advance Bitcoin adoption reveals how the political machinery could be mobilized to support such a groundbreaking initiative.
The president certainly has power. He'll call administrative agencies, he'll call senators and House of Representatives to move things for me, or he can provide context, or he can provide advice. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think it doesn't have power where he can trigger pull on something, but it has influence. Remember, there are two types of levers in Washington. One is power, executive orders. You vote on the House floor or the Senate floor for a bill, and the other one is influence.
A move to purchase Bitcoin on a national scale would also send a strong signal to the global community, particularly to rivals like China. Scaramucci points to the geopolitical implications of such a strategy, where failing to act could mean falling behind.
And we believe, rightly or wrongly, that the Chinese are going to move to buy Bitcoin, and they're going to move to make it a strategic reserve asset for the Chinese economy and the Chinese government. And if that's the case, what are we talking about? We're talking about $70, $80 billion. You know, to put it in perspective, we've got a $6 trillion budget. So you're talking about 1% of it, 1.5% of the budget to buy Bitcoin.
Critics, however, warn that such a move could destabilize the dollar and provoke questions about its stability. Scaramucci acknowledges this concern, but argues that the benefits could far outweigh the risks, especially when positioned as part of a broader modernization of financial systems.
You'll lose the confidence of the U.S. dollar if you start purchasing assets like Bitcoin, right? Because then people will say, oh, well, actually, what is the dollar backed by? Is the Fed scared? Is Treasury scared? Why do they need this non-fiat asset to start backing its currency? And you could cause problems that way.
Blockchain technology's potential to revolutionize economic transactions could justify such a bold move. By reducing inefficiencies and enabling trustless, permissionless transactions, the technology offers a glimpse of the future of commerce.
If you're telling me over the blockchain that you and I can trade and transact with each other and have the network itself, the blockchain, the technology, verify the transaction for us in a permissionless and let's call it trustless way, because the network is something we both trust, it's going to unleash trillions of dollars of capital that can get deployed into more economic innovation.
The idea also reflects broader trends in technology adoption, drawing parallels to previous transformative shifts. Scaramucci highlights the historical perspective, noting how societal advancements often follow moments of bold decision-making.
We saw this happen with the internet 30 years ago. We saw this happen when we broke up AT&T. Again, not only am I old enough to remember an AOL account, I'm old enough to remember being in Europe and being told at the post office in Rome, if I wanted to call my parents, it was $5 a minute. Okay, we can go to any cafe in Rome today and log into their internet, And we can call like George Jetson does, or the way you and I are doing right now. We can FaceTime our parents. And so the world is changing, and the world is changing for the better.
Finally, the political ramifications of such a move could ripple through the American electorate. Scaramucci underscores how the growing number of cryptocurrency users could shift voting behavior and influence future elections.
It's a very tight country, Ryan. You know, we're a 50-50 country. If you have 60 million people that own a cryptocurrency in this country, let's say 3% of them are single issue voters, and that's a very small number. That's 1.8 million people. That could swing a Congress. It could swing the House of Representatives. It swung the presidential election.
This statement underscores the political clout of cryptocurrency enthusiasts, whose numbers are growing rapidly. With even a small fraction of them becoming single-issue voters, their influence could drastically shift political landscapes. Scaramucci's observation highlights how the integration of cryptocurrency into mainstream financial and political discourse is no longer hypothetical. It's a tangible factor shaping elections and legislative decisions. This growing demographic is a force that politicians and policymakers can no longer afford to ignore, especially as the debate over Bitcoin's role in national reserves intensifies.
But yeah, I mean, she's obviously bullish, but she is a massive Bitcoin bull, as you know. I mean, there's a counter take to this, which is, hey, you don't want to, you'll lose the confidence of the U.S. dollar if you start purchasing assets like Bitcoin, right? Because then people will say, oh, well, actually, what is the dollar backed by? Is the Fed scared? Is Treasury scared? Why do they need this non-fiat asset to start backing its currency? And you could cause problems that way.
Scaramucci's counter-argument touches on a fundamental tension in this debate: whether adopting Bitcoin could erode confidence in the dollar. While proponents argue that it would modernize the financial system and align the U.S. with technological innovation, detractors worry about the message it sends about the dollar's strength. This dichotomy reflects a broader question: can the U.S. adopt Bitcoin without undermining its existing financial pillars? The answer to this question could determine whether this bold idea ever sees the light of day. The idea of the United States adopting Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset represents both a leap into the future and a challenge to the status quo. We've explored how such a move could strengthen the U.S.'s position in the global economy, modernize financial systems, and potentially redefine the dollar's role in an increasingly digital world. Critics remain skeptical, warning of the risks to currency stability and market perception. Yet, as Scaramucci points out, this could be an opportunity to lead a global shift and prepare for a new economic era.
And if we're at that point and we're in a modern society and Trump wants to make a statement, and we believe, rightly or wrongly, that the Chinese are going to move to buy Bitcoin, and they're going to move to make it a strategic reserve asset for the Chinese economy and the Chinese government. And if that's the case, what are we talking about?
Could this plan redefine America's economic future, or would it be a gamble too risky to take? Share your perspective in the comments below.